part B to question 11. It says, what is the area of the plot of land that does not include the parking area? So I'm trying to find the area of the land that does not include the warehouse in the parking area. So the way I interpret this is out of the total area, right, the total plot of land, how much land am I left with if I take away the area of the warehouse and I take away the area of the parking area? So in my mind, there's two things that I need to find. I'm first going to find the total area. So the total area. And I'm also going to find the area of the warehouse. I'm going to say W for warehouse, and the parking area with P. When I look at the total area, I see that it is not a rectangle and it is not a triangle. Instead, that is a trapezoid. But any trapezoid can be turned into rectangles and triangles. So what I'm going to do is, for the large plot of land, the total area, I'm going to break it up into two shapes. I'm going to start here and I'm going to draw a line that goes straight up. And I have now created that this trapezoid is in two shapes. This triangle right here, and also this rectangle here. So the total area can be expressed as the area of a triangle, right? And I'm going to put a little t for the total area, because that rectangle that I just created is the rectangle of breaking up the total shape for the total area. So I'm also going to add the area of the triangle that is of the total shape, right? So this triangle here. What I know is that the area of a rectangle is always length times width. But when I look at this picture, right, the length is this side, right? Because there's this side of the rectangle, and it comes over here also, which would be my width. So the length is going to be a total of 60 feet. And the width is going to go from this point here to this point here. That's going to be my width. And as I notice, it's not the total length here, but if I come to the bottom, it's from this corner to this corner, which I already know to be a total of 50 feet. So this whole side here is going to be 50 feet. So this ends up being the length, which was 60, times the width, which is 50, which gives me a total of 3,000 feet squared. I'm now also going to find the area of the triangle that forms the total area. So I know that the area of a triangle is always 1/2 times base times height. When I look at this, the two sides that I'm interested in of this triangle are going to be my base and my height. Well, the height I can already see is going to be the same as this length right here, which means that this is 60 feet. And the base, if I knew that this part was 50 feet because of this rectangle from before, then that means if the total distance here is 70, that this base has to be 20 feet. So the area of this triangle is going to be 1/2 times the base 20 times the height, which is 60, which I can simplify to be just 600 feet squared. So that is the total area, and it is going to be these two numbers added together, which 3,000 plus 600 is a total of 3,600 feet squared. That is the total area. But the area of the warehouse and the parking lot is going to be expressed the same way. I'm going to add up these shapes to come up with this total area. The area of the warehouse, well, luckily the warehouse is a rectangle, so the area of this whole shape can be expressed as the area of the rectangle that makes up the warehouse, plus, once again, I have a trapezoid, so I'm just going to extend this line right here to change this trapezoid into a rectangle and a triangle. So I'm going to add another rectangle, which is part of the parking lot, plus the area of the triangle that came from the parking lot. Because I took the parking lot and I broke it into two shapes. So I'm just going to find each of these areas one by one. The area of the rectangle that makes up the warehouse is always going to be length times width, but in this case, the length is going to go from this point to this point here. That has a vertical length of 30 feet. And then the width is going to go from this corner to this corner. I see that this is a horizontal change, so I'm going to find the difference between 4 and 39, which is 35 feet. So I know that the length and the width here is going to be the length, which is 30 feet, times the width, which is 35 feet, which is equal to 1,050 feet squared. I'm now going to find the area of the rectangle that is part of the parking lot. So the area of the rectangle that makes up the parking lot is, once again, it's a rectangle, so it's going to be length times width, but this length goes from this point here at 4, 0 to this point here at 4, 20. This has a vertical length of 20 feet, so I know here that my length is going to be 20. And that is times my width, which goes now from this corner to this corner. I already noticed that the distance from 4 to 39 is 35 feet. So the width here is also 35 feet. And if I use my calculator to do 20 times 35, I get this is 700 feet squared. The last thing I need to do is find the area of this rectangle that is part of the parking lot. So the area of the triangle, I think I misspoke before, the triangle that makes up the parking lot is once again 1/2 times base times height. Here, the height is this vertical distance, which is 20 feet. I see that because it goes the same length as these points here, right? So that's 20. So I know that the height is 20, and the base is going to go from this point here to this point here. Well, the x-coordinate here is 50, and the x-coordinate here is 39. So the difference between 39 and 50 is 11 feet. So the area of this triangle is going to be 1/2 times 11 times 20, which gives me a total of 110 feet squared. So going back to this equation, if I add these three numbers up, 1,050 plus 700 plus 110, I can see that the area of the warehouse and the parking lot together is a total of 1,860 feet squared. So the problem wanted me to find what is the difference between the total area. So the difference between the total area and the area of the warehouse and the parking lot is the total area was 3,600 feet minus the area of the warehouse and parking lot, which is 1,860. And if I plug this into my calculator, the leftover space is 1,740 feet squared. And that is my answer.